There's no coin shortage, is there? I mean, I can't follow how we're just out of coins. I mean, there's signs on these gas station windows that just say like, "Oh, there's no good circulation anymore for the coins to get around town. So when you go to the gas station, you have to pay with a credit card or you have to round it up and donate to charity or something." I I just don't buy it. I don't believe that so many people were using coins before coronavirus that within 2 months of people not going out anymore, there was just no coins because no one uses coins. Maybe in the 30s, back when you could actually buy something for less than $1, but that doesn't happen anymore. You just pay in cash and you get change back. And even right now, I'm thinking, oh wait, they have to give us change, so maybe they're just out of change. But I mean, it still holds up. I think that no one's paying with change. And certainly, like I said, not enough people are paying with change to be able to keep this whole coin institution afloat. Also, I've been to the Mint in Philadelphia. What's that called? Is that the Mint or the Reserve? No, I think it's the Mint. And there's just a counter on the wall that just is keep going ting 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 ting, like with all the quarters and all the nickels they're making and the pennies and the dimes. And you just see it racking up the whole time. Like they say, you shouldn't just print money because that's inflation and all that, but coins, I mean, they're printing those every day. I was on the Federal Reserve website yesterday looking up, like, is the coin shortage real? And I'll look it up again. Is the coin shortage real? The Fed. This is the federalreserve.gov. Businesses and bank disclosures associated with COVID-19 have significantly disrupted the supply chain and normal circulation patterns for U.S. coins. While there is an adequate overall amount of coins in the economy, the slowed pace of circulation has reduced available inventories in some areas of the country. Let's see. Since mid-June, the U.S. Mint has been operating at full production capacity, minting almost 1.6 billion coins in June, and is on track to mint 1.65 billion coins per month for the remainder of the year. As the economy recovers and businesses reopen, more coins will flow back into retail and banking channels and eventually into the Federal Reserve, which should allow for the rebuilding of coin inventories. Now that sounds like a great plan, but I do not believe you that we're just out of coins. I mean, there's not really much else I can say about it other than just I can't imagine enough people were using coins and circulating them. Like, is it down to the customer? Are they saying not enough customers are circulating coins? Because if it was businesses that need to send them to each other, if they have an obligation to send it to each other, why wouldn't they be able to do it? If anything, they should have more coins because they're not giving change back to people because they have less customers. I'm just not following it. But that's my big conspiracy of the day. And I can't really think of why, other than maybe we're just trying to get rid of coins. And they'll say they'll be back by the end of the year, but will they really, or will there be less? And then it's just going to we're slowly going to push out coins in general and be like, well, I mean, I guess since we haven't really been using coins anyway, like maybe next January they'll go, we're getting rid of coins. And if there wasn't coronavirus, people would be like, what, are you crazy? I have a quarter map. I need to scratch my lottery tickets. But now people are like, well, I mean, we haven't even been using coins since March, so I guess that's all right. It kind of alleviated people from freaking out about it. So that's my little conspiracy theory there. What does anybody have their own opinions on it, or do they actually work at a bank and they go, Harrison, you're talking like an idiot. Of course, we have a coin shortage. There's this, and it's going to be fixed because of blah blah blah. So go ahead and tell me what you think in the comments below, if anyone wants to. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. I'll be right back. Ooh, that was good stuff. There's a kid in my math class, the one class a week I have to go to in real life, sits right behind me, and he drinks his water very slow. And this is going to be gross for you guys, but this is exactly what I hear. Every day. It's not constantly, but it's quite often, and it's very loud. And I just think, Like, we already have to wear masks in class, so the last thing I want to do is take my mask off to drink water and have my Russian professor go, "Hey, put that back on. You're not allowed to take your mask off." Maskov might be his name, actually, but, um, the Russian guy. But then to not want to be secretive about it, and, like, maybe take a little sip or just bring a straw or something like that. I mean, you sound like an Olympic swimmer doing the backstroke, splashing all this water around in your mouth. It's nuts. Also, another kid that sits behind me in math class, who always takes notes. Well, we all take notes. But in his notebook, if he ever messes up, instead of being a normal guy and just skipping a page and then going, "Oh, later at home," when I'm looking at these notes, which you have to look at your notes at home, otherwise, and if you're not, then what are you taking notes for? So he'll rip these pages out of his notes, but he'll try to be generous. Here, I have a notebook here. He'll try to be generous and not make it loud. So this is how I would take out a notebook page. You can go back and play that in slow-mo. It probably took about a quarter of a second. And this is what this kid will do. Now imagine that in the environment of a quiet classroom. I mean, that kid's going, whoops, didn't mean to, did it again, punch the microphone. This kid's pulling the freaking paper out one little ring at a time. What's that called? The binding on the book. The spine, whatever. The metal the metal freaking spinny thing. He's pulling the sheet out one at a time of those, instead of just ripping it all out. So he's an idiot. You know what's not idiotic though? Learning a new word. And today is a word in law. It's the word adjudicate, which is a verb. To adjudicate. Make a formal judgment or decision about a problem or disrupted matter. The committee adjudicates on all betting disputes. Or also, acting as a judge in a competition. We asked him to adjudicate at the local flower show. Or also, to pronounce or declare judicially. He was adjudicated bankrupt. Now that is a good word. Good word. Watching some YouTube videos watching some lawyer videos on YouTube. Or I guess you could say YouTube videos on lawyering, but either way. Pardon me, didn't mean to burp. That's rude. But that's a new word, and I wrote it down. And I was like, that'll be the word of the day, and I'll look it up on the live reading. So I didn't really know what that word meant until I just read it out loud. Stocks are up today. Yesterday we were kind of trading sideways all day. I think I ended with a gain of $3. But today, the pre-market, I was up $21 alone. 9:45 is up to $25. At 10:45, I was all the way down. I was only up $9. I moved all the way down to $9, but I was still up. But now I'm up at an all-time high of $27 today. So let's see if that trend keeps on moving up, because I know it doesn't affect you at all, but I do like money. And I highly suggest any of you getting into the stock market, because it's just easy money, which is a lie. You have to know what you're doing a little bit, which I don't. That's why I let myself do all the research over the summer, and now I'm just sitting and watching. I don't buy any stocks anymore. I don't have enough time to pay attention to what's actually good. I would just go, oh, Hasbro, I've heard of them. And then 2 weeks later, I'll be like, yeah, Hasbro said 6 months ago they were going to shut down. No wonder their stock was so low. And I'm just like, oh, well, I dumped $300 in it. And I did that with Tesla. I bought Tesla at the highest it's ever been, and it immediately went down $70 the next day. So I'm still trying to climb back from that one. I did that with Apple too. Whatever. It's just money. It's just money. Borat comes out tomorrow. Has anyone watched that movie with what's his face? Sacha Baron Cohen? The first one is hilarious. A revolutionary. It followed this. It wasn't completely revolutionary. He had done that character before on the Ali G show, but just as a movie for it finally to get into like the what's the word? Public, more public as a movie than an HBO show. Not everyone has HBO, but everyone has a movie theater. So Borat came out. Hilarious movie of just Sacha Baron Cohen just screwing with people. I think he got arrested like 100 times making the movie. It's on Amazon Prime. The first one is. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it if you're into just stupid humor, but hilariously done. Very well done. well constructed, considering it's all like actual scenes with real people that don't know what's going on. And of course, there's a storyline along it. It's this guy from Kazakhstan who's traveling to America to do a documentary on America, but along the way he falls in love with Pamela Anderson because it's 2004 and she was still popular. I guess even that might have been the joke that she wasn't popular anymore. I don't know. I wasn't even alive in 2004. Um, so then it's just you just follow him while he does stupid stuff because he's a foreigner. So it's just funny because he doesn't know what's going on in America. But now they're making a second one, and that comes out tomorrow, and that is also on Amazon Prime. So I'll be watching that, and if I remember, I'll talk about it on Tuesday. But I'll probably forget. But there's movies like that where they're old movies, but you can rewatch them when you're 20, or you can watch them for the first time when you're 20, and they're hilarious. And there's movies that came out that long ago that, if you watched them now for the first time, wouldn't make any sense. But if you'd been watching them as they came out, since they first came out, and then rewatching them up until now, they're hilarious. Let me give you an example here to prove what I'm talking about. Like the movie Kangaroo Jack. Now, I watched this with my cousin probably when I was 4 years old. And I actually don't even remember watching it. I just know that I watched it when I was young. And then I bought it and watched it on my own a lot when I was young. And so probably up until I was like 8, I'd probably seen it 50 times. And then I didn't watch it again until last year. Me and my buddies were here at Penn State trying to think of stuff to watch. And I put in Kangaroo Jack. And I loved it because it's hilarious. And there's still a sense of like, oh, this movie's so stupid, but it's funny to think I was 8 years old and loved it, and now I'm watching it again, and I can tell it's stupid. But at least I'm used to everything that happens in it, where my other friends hadn't seen it before, and they're just watching it like, what the heck are we watching? And that same thing it's exactly the same thing with Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Good Burger, which Pee-wee's Big Adventure that's from the 1984, I think. Tim Burton's first movie. That movie is incredible. But I will admit, if you didn't watch it when you were young and you're trying to watch it for the first time now, you're probably not going to like it. Good Burger, all right, that one doesn't make sense. Even if you just watch Good Burger today for the first time and you're 20, if you don't like that movie, you're just psychotic. Good Burger, that shouldn't even be on the list. That movie's hilarious for anyone. Good Burger, yeah, hopefully I don't need to give plot summaries for all these movies. I hope to God my viewers have already watched all these movies. Kangaroo Jack, of course, is these two guys going to Australia to give money to some hitman in Australia when they don't realize that the money was for them to be murdered. Regardless, the money is in this guy's jacket, and they hit a kangaroo on the road, and the kangaroo's dead. So the guy puts a jacket on it to look funny, jacket and sunglasses, and then the kangaroo gets up and hops away. And they're like, oh my God, he was alive. Oh my God, he was alive. And then Anthony Anderson, the guy with the jacket, he's like, uh-oh, I lost the money. I put the money in my jacket, and I put the jacket on the kangaroo, and now he's hopping away. Classic. So that's that whole movie. Then they just chase down this kangaroo. They get into funny accidents. Pee-wee, of course, is just Pee-wee Herman. Got his bike stolen by... Who stole it? Was it Francis? Was it a clown that he chained it to? What happened? I don't know. Now that's a hilarious... Pee-wee Herman is also... Another good thing about these movies is they're incredibly quotable. Like Pee-wee, he gets the whole town into his basement to look over all the evidence of how, who could have taken his bike. And he goes from Exhibit A to Exhibit B, and then finally down to Exhibit Y. And he goes, a pen I bought on the day of the robbery. What's the significance? I don't know. Which is I just butchered that quote. It's a lot funnier in the movie. I don't do it justice, but it's a very good quote to be able to just use on your own, where you're talking about class or something, and you go, what's the significance? I don't know. Good Burger, of course. Nickelodeon movie from the late 90s. You know how those movies were. You should at least. Good Burger, that movie's just hilarious. Freaking Kenan and Kel, great TV show on Nickelodeon. They had a spin-off on the show All That, a sketch about Good Burger, and then they made a spin-off movie about Good Burger. I shouldn't have to tell you about it. I hope to God that's at least the one you watched already. Now, one you may not have seen, I don't think I've met anyone else who's ever seen this movie other than me and my cousin. This is the movie Clifford with Martin Short. And that movie is probably the most impressive one out of all this, if anyone else has actually seen it. I'll read that here. And that's the movie of the day, too. What do you know? When his brother asks him to look after his young son, Clifford, Martin Daniels agrees, taking the boy into his home and introducing him to his future wife, Sarah. Clifford is fixated on the idea of visiting a famed theme park, and Martin, an engineer who helped build the park, makes plans to take him. But when Clifford reveals himself to be a first-rate brat, his uncle goes bonkers, and a loony intergenerational standoff ensues. I guess I should say Martin Short is in it. You know, the guy, he played Jack Frost in Spider-Man 3, Santa Claus 3. He plays a 10-year-old in the movie, but he's like 30. And it's just hilarious. And there's a scene in it where the uncle's like, look at me. And he's looking, Martin Short's looking back at him with like his eyes wide open, his mouth like half agape. And he goes, look at me like a human boy. Look at me like a real boy. You. I'm ruining it again, but it is funny. It's a hilarious movie. It's on HBO Max, I think. Yeah, it's on HBO Max, but I'll look it up real quick just to make sure, because I have HBO Max open already. Yeah, it's on HBO Max. Last I knew it was on Prime, but they might have taken it off. I'm not sure. Like, they took off everything good on Prime. They had freaking Mr. Show on there. They had Curb Your Enthusiasm. Mr. Show. Oh, my goodness. This is just going to be my movie and TV show day, where I just suggest all these freaking incredible things no one's heard of. Mr. Show was from 1990 something, on HBO. And it was Bob Odenkirk and David Cross just doing sketch comedy. But it was HBO, so you can like say whatever you want. And it was just two funny guys. I mean, if you put two nuns on there to say whatever they want, it's not good. Well, if you're looking for comedy, it's not good. But these guys are two hilarious comedians. David Cross, of course, is the guy from freaking Alvin and the Chipmunks who steals the chipmunks. And Bob Odenkirk is Saul from Breaking Bad. I mean, they're both comedians, but that's probably where you would know them from if you never heard their actual names before. Oh my lord, it is funny. There's one sketch that I always talk to people about, just to give them an idea what the show's like, the vibe of the show. And the one sketch is, these guys are ghost hunters, and there's a little short sketch about them documenting their ghost hunting abilities. And they go, we actually brought in a doctor who knows all about this. And it goes to an interview with this doctor. It's Bob Odenkirk, and it has his name at the bottom of the screen, and he's talking about, oh yes, ghost hunting is it's old science, blah, 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 blah. And it has his name at the bottom of the screen, and it just says, Dr. Retarded. Now, that's funny. And it's smart humor, too. It's not just like, oh, he said retarded, that's hilarious, ha, 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 ha. It's just like, it's mocking people who believe in ghosts. And even with shows like that, where you would see, oh, it says the R word, we need to get rid of it. And it's like, no, it's not just it's not Bob Odenkirk and David Cross going, hey, we love using the word retarded. Now, can we make up a show where we can sneak that in there somehow? Because we hate anyone with a mental disability. No, it's not about that. Well, there was another sketch. Netflix brought back Mr. Show. I think they called it like Bob and David Have a Show or something. But David Cross, I can't remember the exact sketch because they got rid of it. They took it off Netflix, so I haven't seen it in a while. But it was like David Cross was driving. He was supposed to be this idiot who just wanted to get, I don't know, into this parking lot. And there was a cop there that was like, hey, what are you doing? He stopped him and was asking him questions. And then I think he was trying to egg the cop on and get him to hurt him. So he just kept being annoying. But then the cop was like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're allowed to go through. And David Cross was like, oh, really? And then he came back again and was like, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. And then David Cross came back again and was like trying to be more outlandish so the cop, he could catch him on video like doing something wrong. So then he came back again and he was in blackface. And the cop was just like, are you serious? Like, I know it's you. You know? And so Netflix took it down recently because they were like, well, obviously they're racist. We need to get rid of this show. Which I can understand that. I can at least follow the logic of that argument. But for Bob and David's defense, they were not. Same thing. It's like they weren't just going, "Oh, we want to be racist. How can we find a way to do it? Oh, let's get a show on Netflix where we can sneak stuff in that proves we're racist and hope no one realizes it." And then Netflix is just like, "Hey, that didn't get past us. We know we know that was a racist thing," which it wasn't. They they were writing a character that was so stupid and tone deaf that he thought it was okay to use blackface, which he's the kind of guy that would like. He would probably be the kind of guy that would turn around too and be like, "Oh, this is racist, that's racist," but then he would come full circle and wear blackface because he is trying to get a cop fired. But the whole point was, we don't think it's okay to use blackface, but this guy did because he's stupid. Let's laugh at how stupid he is. That's the joke. But then people just ignored the joke and went, "Well, blackface, they must be racist. Let's get the show off." Well, anyone who watched the show knew that that's not what was knew that that wasn't the intention. So now we're just ruining the people who like the show. Thanks. We're ruining it for them. Thanks a lot. The people that would be mad about that don't watch that kind of show. Which is whatever. I'm just saying. Who are we doing that for? Just as an example. I mean, that happens all the time. Where you go, who does this benefit? Because does it benefit the group of people the people you're trying to defend? That's nice, but they don't watch that show anyway. So why does it matter? Anyway, enough about that rant. I don't want to necessarily tie myself to something so controversial. I mean, I love Mr. Show, but I guess if they're going to come back and start canceling people because they defend the show, I don't really want to have my name tied to it. But that's, you know what, that's life. I got to go down swinging. Got to go down with your boots on, baby. Now, you know what I like going down to? I like going down to my record shelf and taking out Alt J. Alt J is an incredible band, you know, Breeze Blocks, Left Hand Free. Well, Breeze Blocks was their first album, Left Hand Free was on their second album, and this is their third album, called Relaxer. And it's got the opening song is 3WW. Three wise words? I think that's what it stands for. 3WW lyrics. Hang on, I'm sorry I have to look this up in the middle of it, but I don't want to... All these three worn words. Okay, 3WW. Sorry. This is how it goes. It's very, very chill. It makes me want to listen to while I'm making a fire. Let me turn the volume up here. Hopefully I don't get a copyright claim. Alright, sorry, I'm rambling. Again, this is Alt J 3WW. The tone, the vocal distribution, or whatever it's called, like the you know, I don't have perfect pitch, but the way they jump around in that song is very cool. And it's like, well, it's the opening to the whole album, so the introduction of that song, it plays for like 2 minutes before there's any words, but it's just doom 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 doom. Just go listen to it. It's very cool. Hopefully that wasn't long enough to get me a copyright claim, but I wanted to play it long enough for you to understand, like, oh, that's a cool sounding song. So hopefully you did. And hopefully you could follow with my argument with Mr. Show. I'm not necessarily saying that's a hill I want to die on, but it's just, I'm using it as an example for just every example of that happening in real life where it's just like, oh, let's just cancel this because let's get rid of this whole guy's career because he said something offensive in 2000. It's like, first of all, that was a completely different time where that was okay in 2000. They didn't just do it to be rude. They did it because everyone was doing it. And not necessarily blackface or using the word retarded, but just certain examples where people are like, oh, this doesn't make sense now, so let's get rid of it. Like, imagine Ace Ventura, the end of it, where it's just like a transgender person, which, you know, he turns around Lois Einhorn and her wiener sticking out of her butt, tucked back behind her legs. Like, that's funny, and that's in the 90s. But could you imagine that coming out today? There would be riots in the streets. So it's not to say that it's not, like, did it just get not funny? I don't think I mean, it's not like the humor's lost. If there's plenty of people who can watch that now and go, oh yeah, that's funny. So I guess that's all I'm saying is, I'm using that as an example, but there's certainly many cases where, yeah, if you look at it now, it seems like it doesn't fit into society, but they didn't make it now. They made it in the 90s, and we were just watching it now. So why are we going back to ruin it when that movie was in the 90s? We're watching a time capsule. Now, it's 25-minute mark. I got to get done. I got to go do dishes Tuesday, Thursdays. Like I always say, my days without classes. So I record white coffee, then I do some dishes. My roommates have not done the dishes in maybe 2 weeks. So they're just piling up. There's a big pan with just bacon grease in it. It's pretty disgusting. I had a dream about it where we had to fight over them doing the dishes. But, who knows if that'll happen or not. I'm 100% prepared. At least I'll be in the kitchen with the frying pans. Just kidding. I'm not going to hurt anyone with a frying pan. But if you move out to college and you're on your own, do you think you would learn how to be able to handle yourself, or would you still need your mommy to come clean your dishes and take out the trash and put the recycling in the recycling bin and do your laundry? I don't get it. I work this is more of a rant about my own life. I work and I go to school and I'm home for maybe 6 hours a day. And these guys don't work. They're home for 12 hours a day. They're home they're home all day. But they at least have that much more free time than me, where I'm at work from 5 to 10. But I can still somehow get my dishes done twice a week. And these guys are home all day, and no dishes are done. Like over the summer when I didn't work and Jason did work, I was just like a housewife. These guys hadn't moved in yet. But I was just, as soon as Jason would leave, I would just vacuum the whole apartment, and I would do all the dishes, and I would bake bread. So I'm not saying they need to do that and turn into a 50s housewife, but like, how can you even, I wasn't like, oh gosh, Jason left, great, now I have to clean up. It's just like, that's just what I did. Like, it was just, he's at work and I'll clean the apartment. I got nothing better to do, and that's just, I want the apartment to be nice. And then these guys move in and they're just like, let's just trash the place. I'm like, well, how do you even like get satisfaction out of that? Don't you feel disgusting that there's bacon grease sitting on a pan for 3 weeks now, 2 weeks, whatever it's been, a week? So that's my little rant behind the scenes. White coffee, of course, is going strong. We're getting at least we're getting like 15 views an episode. I know sometimes we get like 25, 30, 80. I don't know. We go back and forth. Last week's episode, I think, only got up to like 11. But that might be because YouTube can tell I was talking about Trump's taxes, and they're like, let's get rid of this guy. So, who knows? Maybe, and probably the words I used today and the topics I talked about today probably didn't help me either. But you know what? That's what interests me. So if YouTube's going to take me down because of what interests me, then sorry. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just sit here and talk about something so common denominator that YouTube wouldn't get mad at me for it. I don't think they actually are getting mad at me for it. But you know what I mean? Like, if I just wanted to sit here and talk about anything that's not offensive and not interesting, then then you guys wouldn't want to listen to it anyway. So I can't make my whole show based on stuff that you guys, that isn't interesting. Sorry. That's, again, a little behind the scenes. YouTube isn't loading right now, so I can't see the last views on the episodes, but I'm sure there's not, there's 13. Current visibility status might not be up. Public. What? Sorry, I'm figuring something. I'm lost. It's easy to be honest. There's something wrong with that episode, I think. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to re-upload that and take out, because I know that song Black got me copyright striked, or copyright claimed. But now it's saying it's not public. I don't know. Sorry. A little too inside baseball here. All I was trying to say is we got up to 85 views on the previous episode, 13 on It's Easy to Be Honest. So I think there's something wrong with that episode, unless there's just no one watching this. But don't listen to the government when they tell you there's a coin shortage, because I don't believe it. Invest in the stock market. Watch some classic movies. I highly recommend Clifford on HBO Max. It might be on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend Borat. And I highly recommend doing the dishes. I'll see you all on Tuesday.